All right, here we are again on a Friday afternoon. I am excited to fix a long overdue. This is long overdue because we previously invested in Relai and we didn't get something in the archives, but Julian has been nice enough to take some time out of his evening. I guess it's about 8 o'clock over there. He's decided not to have a beer. So he's playing it cool, but we are going to have a chat about Europe's easiest Bitcoin app, which is what Relai claims to be. Also, Julian has been recently a 30 under 30 Forbeser, right? They've been in the news with NASDAQ listing them as one of the top 10 apps to buy Bitcoin in 2023. They were named a top 100 Swiss startup, and he's killing it. And we're going to dive in and learn a bunch about what he's doing. So, Julian, how are you today?
I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Mike. This is really long overdue. And I'm really happy to take the time here on my Friday evening, the first Friday evening this year. And I actually did have a beer already, but I don't have a second one. If you would have taken one, I would have one, but like I don't want to be drinking alone. I had a beer with my buddy after work, but now now I keep it safe with some Oishi green tea. It's very nice as well. And thank you for the nice introduction. It's really you're a very good pitcher.
I am. Well, thank you very much. Uh, Julian, his company is Relai, and this here, oh, I guess I'm behind a foreign paywall. I can't even read that.
Just press the green button.
Uh,
It's just some cookies.
Forbes 30 under 30. Okay. But now he is 30. So
Yeah.
uh, congrats. He's got the 3 handle here.
Thank
This
you.
is really cool. This is a really great that you were listed here. I mean, you can see best places, best apps to buy Bitcoin. This is, of course, NASDAQ, right? What do they know about Bitcoin? Okay, Strike, Cash App, BitPay, Relay, Peach, River, Swan, Revolut, which isn't even real Bitcoin, by the way. I think that's actually
Yeah.
that's not even real Bitcoin. How the hell did they even make it on this list? And Pocket. So really,
Yeah, it's great to be listed there, but to be honest, sometimes I think these lists are also a bit random. Like I understand many of them, but for example, like Swan Bitcoin is huge. Like they're obviously bigger than we are. They're older than we are. Why are they seventh and we are fourth? I mean, it's great. I'm flattered. And then on the other hand, Peach is a great project. I love Steph. She's doing great work. It's very young still. Congrats to making on this list, but then compared to, again, Revolut, which don't even sell real Bitcoin, but obviously they're huge. They have a 30 billion valuation. So yeah, it's kind of mixed around. I don't really know. These lists probably generate a lot of traffic, a lot of clicks. It's nice to get featured there as a company, of course. But I would really like to see the processes on how they get to these lists. And there are obviously also many more.
okay. So and then we have this top 100 Swiss startups.
Yeah, we actually made it to spot 34 out of the 100 best startups and number 7 in the category of fintech, which was very nice. It's the first time we were on this list at all, and this list means a lot in Switzerland. It's really like it's a big event where all the important investors, VCs, but also startup entrepreneurs and like startups that have been around for 5-6 years are there, and we're only around for 2.5 years and already listed there, which is very, very nice.
All right, cool. We're going to talk about a bunch of those competitors too, because that's the main question. Because that's the revolution that we are witnessing here is all of these really cool, unique Bitcoin focused. You have a lot of differentiators here as far as the registration process and all of that. Can we start? Do you want to start with that? Do you want to just give a quick high level for anyone who doesn't get Relai?
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's important to mention that, look, there are a bunch of different ways you can buy Bitcoin today, because it is really a need of people. People want to get into Bitcoin. I always say that in the next 10 years, and this is a process that is already starting now, the next 10 years, billions of people and trillions of dollars will want to flow into Bitcoin, right? From this old crashing financial system to the new flourishing Bitcoin-based financial system. And so there needs to be a set of different ways which are focused on different needs and different customer segments that allow people to buy Bitcoin. It's not going to be a winner takes it all game. Like, how many banks are there today? There are so many. It's not just one big bank. Other than social media, for example, there are only a couple of big networks, or like tech giants. There are only a couple of big ones. But in like kind of financial service providers, there are so many. And the same will be true for Bitcoin wallets, Bitcoin on-ramps, Bitcoin brokers, even Bitcoin and crypto exchanges. So it's a natural development that there are many. And obviously, depending on the target audience that these providers are focusing on, the USPs will be different. So for us, Relai really tries to be the easiest way to onboard newcomers to Bitcoin and to real Bitcoin. So actually owning them with a non-custodial wallet. And Relai is the only place, and that's the biggest differentiator, where newcomers can just download an app and within 1 minute, from $10 already, can buy 24/7 instantly Bitcoin directly into their own possession. Like, this is the main differentiator, because many others, like we saw, for example, before, Swan Bitcoin, which I really like, admire, they're great, or even Revolut, they have very easy processes, but there you need to register. There's a KYC, AML verification process you need to go through as a customer. And in the end, these third parties are holding your Bitcoin. So you need to, after buying the Bitcoin, withdraw them to your own possession. Only then, with adding another provider, another wallet, you then get possession of you then get ownership of your coins, and you have control over your private keys. With Relai, this happens instantly and without the person even having to do something else, or even having to take care about another provider. Instantly, from $10 already, with a couple of clicks, you can buy your Bitcoin and you get them to your own wallet, because Relai never holds the money, the Bitcoin, on behalf of the customer, but we provide a non-custodial wallet directly on your phone, and you can buy Bitcoin straight through that. So the two main differentiators are almost no KYC onboarding and non-custodial ownership of your Bitcoin.
So KYC free Bitcoin, boy, I hate that term, right? I prefer no registration, no registration required or needed, which I think you use here on your main page. No registration is needed. Okay, so got a bunch of questions, but since we're chatting about it, this is an app, right? So somebody asked, why no desktop?
Yeah, we're working on that. So we started with a mobile app just because like 70-80% of our users are mobile users. Millennials is our main target group, and most of them are doing their finances on the mobile app. So I think we really believe that the way to mass adoption for Bitcoin is through mobile. In Switzerland, for example, 96% of people have mobile apps, and most of like 70-80% of the people use, for most of daily kind of transaction stuff, they use their mobile phone. But we're also working on a desktop and on a web, mainly on a web app interface, where people can more easily than also stack sats, not only to their Relai wallet, but also to their external, let's say, Bitbox or a Ledger, a kind of external hardware wallet.
Okay, so let's talk about how it's been so far. All right, 2021 revenues versus 2022? Just in a multiple, are people flocking to Relai? How's the growth been?
Yeah, so we are around for 2.5 years now. We started in July 2020, and in this first half a year, or like first financial year that we were operating, we had obviously low, a couple of thousand in revenue, and then we, I think, tenfolded this in the second year, 2021, where we had a six-figure revenue, and now I think we almost threefolded it again in 2022. So yes, kind of you could probably say that people are flocking towards it, but it's especially interesting, and that's what kind of I try to show this in a pitch deck as well. And what is also very well received by investors when I talk to them about our development is that in 2022, obviously the first half was still a good one for Bitcoin and crypto and stocks overall, but then the market crashed like horribly. So from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, the Bitcoin price, for example, as kind of an indication of the market sentiment, went down from plus 60K to below 20K, right? So it just crashed in price. At the same time, we basically did the opposite direction. We basically doubled our monthly volumes in the same and revenues in the same time frame. So this is something that gives a lot of confidence to investors when they see that, because they obviously, if you are as an investor a long-term Bitcoin believer, which most of our investors are, then you know that, okay, 2023 is maybe still going to be a rough year and a lot of startups will die, but Relai is not going to be one of these startups, because they are even doing great in a bear market. And boy, what's going to happen in 2024? Obviously, we will have the market sentiment become more positive again, and we will have the halving coming up. So if there's the next hype cycle on the roadmap in 2024, we will be the big winners, because we will be still around. And obviously, when the tide goes up, when the hype comes back, a lot of newcomers will be coming back, and we will be very, very well positioned.
So, okay. No registration needed, right? So I am a US citizen, so I cannot actually kick the tires and use this myself. Although, okay, so what if somebody doesn't withdraw? Okay, what is the non-custodial? I mean, how does that process work?
Yeah, so exactly. Users can only use us in Europe so far. We have global ambitions for the next, let's say, decade. But for now, these 400 million plus Europeans are still a very good population and potential for us. So we stick to Europe for several reasons, also legal reasons. But basically how it works is, if you download the app, the mobile app, to your smartphone, it generates Bitcoin wallet on your phone. So the private keys are stored encrypted on your phone, on your device, and only you with your Face ID can basically, and with your PIN, you can unlock to see the private keys. So no one has access but you as a user. And then if you hit buy, and by the way, you can do that within 1 minute, as I said, because there's no onboarding, there's no registration, no verification. You don't even need to give up your name or your email address or your phone number, or even, you don't have to upload any documents, whatever. You can just start, because that's because of a legal niche that we have in Switzerland, up to 1K per day and 100K per year for retail investors. In Switzerland, we don't require KYC, AML, or any registration onboarding for the pure exchange of assets. So if you only exchange euro to Bitcoin or any other asset, you can do that without any registration. Because we don't hold the Bitcoin, technically we don't hold the Bitcoin on behalf of our customer. We don't have to do all these onboarding things. And then you can just basically buy, and when you hit buy, you create a buy order. and then you need to pay. You can pay with a bank transfer, you can pay with Google Pay, Apple Pay, or MasterCard, Visa, any card payment. And then whenever we get the money, which is instantly for all of the payment methods, but the bank transfer, once we get the money, we buy Bitcoin for you, and we send the Bitcoin directly to your Relai wallet, which is a non-custodial wallet. So it's within minutes in your possession, in your ownership, and we don't hold the Bitcoin on your behalf. And then you can do whatever you want. You can hold it on your mobile hot wallet, which is the Relai wallet, or you can send it to an external, cold wallet. You can pay online with it. You can send it to your friends. You can do whatever you want. So this is the power as well of being not only a wallet, but also an on-ramp. Like this combination, we believe, is super important to drive mass adoption to Bitcoin, to really bring Bitcoin to billions of people.
So that's interesting because bank transfers are so broken here in the US. I mean, it's just such a different landscape when you have ACHs can be reversed, Bitcoin's immediately deliverable. The fraud is just insane. It's rampant here. So that's really cool that you can actually do that. So, the Euro regulation, what they're talking about coming down the line, because this is an awesome way to navigate Europe. Are you following those laws pretty closely, and how do you feel about some of the tightening that's happened over there so far?
Yeah, we do have to follow them very closely, obviously. I mean, as much as Bitcoiners and we at Relai are libertarians, it's just it's just a natural environment as a financial service company. We have to navigate a lot of the legal and compliance shit that is coming up. The regulatory framework is changing all the time, and it's giving a lot of pressure, especially to small companies that are in the Bitcoin space. So it's really important to understand very well and trying to forecast what's going to happen next on the regulatory landscape, so that you can make the right decisions on how to move forward. And that's what we are doing from the beginning. Like from the beginning, we had our chairman, who is Alexis Roussel, who is a very well-known lawyer in the space here in Switzerland and knows the European law very well in terms of whatever touches Bitcoin, crypto, and financial service providers. So from the beginning, we had that monitored very well. And since around probably close to a year now, we have an internal legal expert as well, who's basically not doing anything else than monitoring the regulatory framework and monitoring our internal system and improving our internal systems, fraud detection, KYC, AML, regulations, compliance, risk management, the user data handling, because we do have users, like around 25% of our users are doing KYC, AML, so that they can go higher than these 1K per day, so that they can exchange higher amounts. So this is all things that we do almost have like a legal department. And that's probably also something that sets us apart from other kind of up and starting Bitcoin companies in Europe, is that we're not like a 2 or 3 man show. Like we do have a team of more than 20 people, and we do have an internal legal and compliance competency, because not because it's fun, but because it's just super important. And in terms of the regulatory changes that will come in Europe with the new framework called MiCA, Markets in Crypto Assets. I don't know who came up with this stupid name, but this is coming up actually this month. So it's in effect since 1st of January 23. But operational companies like ours, we have an 18-month transition period. So whatever is outlined in this new law, we have 18 months, so until end of Q2 24, summer 24, actually, when also the halving hits, we have time to implement all these things. And the main thing that is going to change there for us as a non-custodial Bitcoin wallet and broker is that we will have to do KYC and AML for all the users and all the transactions in the EU. So that excludes Switzerland and the UK, because they're not, or not anymore, part of the EU, but all the other 40 plus countries in Europe, they will be part of this MiCA regulation. So we will have to do KYC AML on them, which sounds as a negative first, but also on the positive side, this new law will hit custodial services way harder than non-custodial services like ours. That's why it was so important not to make any compromises on the non-custodial part, because as long as we are only an exchange, like only a broker, and not holding money on behalf of our customers, we are exempt from most of these new things that are coming into place with MiCA. The only thing we're not exempt is we will need to do KYC on most customers, depending on where they live. But also there, I see a positive thing. We do now have an amazing window of opportunity for the next 18 months, because we're the most well-known Bitcoin-only on-ramp in Europe. We're also the kind of biggest and most popular one in terms of user and revenue and volume and stuff, like all these numbers. And there's not going to be any new company popping up that is going to try to compete with us, because they know with this kind of, if they would imitate our model now, it would need time until they can go live anyway, and they would have a couple of months until they couldn't do it anymore. So basically, we now have a window of opportunity of 18 months where we have no new competitors coming in, because it wouldn't make any sense, where we can really go for it and grow massively and really take a lot of market share also from the other crypto companies and like all the other companies that are in this space.
So, isn't to say KYC free? Okay, I mean, if it's an ACH transfer or the equivalent of what would be an ACH transfer here, if I'm doing an ACH transfer or a Swift transfer for whatever it is for 25 euro, okay, to Relai, like it's clear that I'm buying Bitcoin. So, yeah. I mean, isn't that kind of like KYC by default? I mean, really,
Yeah, absolutely. That's where it's a bit misleading, and it's kind of hard to communicate that so that people understand, because yes, there is some KYC involved. KYC means know your customer, right? And yes, we do know our customers because we have a minimum of data of our customers, namely the account number, which is called the IBAN in Europe, where the money comes from, and then the name of the account holder. And in some cases, depending on the bank, also the postal address of the person. So we do know some information about the person. What we don't have to do, and we're one of the only companies in Europe, and only in Switzerland this is even possible, is that we don't require a KYC process. So we don't require the user to give his name, his email address, his address, his telephone number, and his a utility bill or another proof of address, and his ID or passport or driver's license. So all these things, usually if you open an account at some fintech or crypto exchange or Bitcoin broker or whatever, you need to submit all of these. And then these data lie around with this startup that can be hacked, for example, and the data can be leaked and so forth. And it's obviously not a comfortable thing to do that with every app you want to use. So our differentiator here is that we don't require such a KYC process. The user doesn't have to do anything of these. They just download the app and start buying. And yes, they give up a little bit of data, like automatically. Whenever you buy something online, this is the case. If you use a credit card or a bank transfer, so it's not KYC free, it's KYC light technically, but you don't have to go through this whole process. So it's more convenience advantage than a privacy advantage. If you want to be super private, and this is something that, for example, one of our early angel investors, Giacomo Zucca, is talking about a lot, is that it's privacy and convenience. There's a spectrum. You cannot have full privacy and full convenience. Unfortunately, it is not possible. So you kind of have to make and it's not going to be for everyone. Like full privacy is not going to be for everyone. If you want full privacy, you take some cash and you go to a Bitcoin ATM. There might not be one around you. You have to travel a lot, and then you buy some Bitcoin there. You initialize it with a wallet, or you use stuff like CoinJoin or kind of peer-to-peer exchanges like BISC, but they're hard to use, and you pay a premium and so forth. For a ATM transaction, for example, if you want to buy with cash, you pay 8 to 10%, at least in Europe. It's a lot of cheddar. On the other hand, you have full convenience and quite some privacy with something like Relai, but obviously it's not fully private. So it's really about what people want, and we believe that 90% of the 90% of the people that are not into Bitcoin yet, they need something like Relai to make it really simple and as private as possible.
Okay, real quick, and then we got a bunch of stuff to go through. But Win Lightning, I wanted to get this question out of the way. Win Lightning.
Yeah, of course. So we have it on the roadmap like since the beginning, and Lightning Ventures, other VCs like Fulgur Ventures, who are obviously all about Lightning, are kind of pushing for this, rightfully so. But we're mainly here for onboarding newcomers, right? So whatever makes Bitcoin easier and more usable and more accessible to users, we will implement. So that's why Lightning was not always on the top priority. It was always on the backlog, always on the roadmap, but not always on the top priority. But because there were things that made it easier for people to get to their first Bitcoin. For example, adding different payment methods like Apple Pay, Google Pay, credit card, and so forth. And also there were some legal and technical limitations for a non-custodial wallet like ours to implement Lightning. For example, the whole liquidity and channel management, we have more than 40,000 active users. For each of them, we would need to open a channel, and then we don't know how much they are using, how much they will be buying. So we don't know how much to load these channels. So it's a lot of capital we would need to bind, and all that kind of stuff. And also legally, actually, Lightning is, at least in Switzerland and Europe, it's deemed custodial. So we would be the holder of the money legally, which then obviously would trigger a lot of other licenses and legal and compliance processes. So there's a lot of complications in implementing Lightning. That said, we're looking at it very closely. We are in touch with Blockstream and Lightning Labs and all these phenomenal companies that are working on the Lightning network. And we're also really trying to find ways how to implement it, and what ways there would be to implement it in a user-friendly way for newcomers. That's always the most important for us. And we actually do have now visibility on how to get to that this year. So I'm very confident that this year there will be a Lightning upgrade on Relai.
Well, pre-coiners and no coiners is definitely the largest market. However, if you did decide to make it to where your Relai app, could your node, if somebody connects their node, all right, with Relai, and you did that, and those were sent over Lightning, that would be pretty freaking cool. Okay, so let's move on, because it's 8 o'clock at night there, and he's probably got a date or something. All right, so previous rounds, since it's cool to do some education and share your stories and raising, this is not your first rodeo. So just since you started, kind of, I don't know, maybe this is an exciting moment for Julian, because he had raised on safe notes previously. He had raised on notes, right? So when you have a nice big round, those all get to convert. So it's a monumental, celebratory. It's a very good time. You want to chat about fundraising and just the whole shebang?
Of course, man. So yeah, I did spend a lot of time in fundraising. Actually, when we started this project, like when I first had the idea, this was like back in end of 2018 or something. I had no clue about startup, about venture capital. Like I really was super clueless. And then I had this idea. I wanted to make it easier for people, especially my friends and colleagues and families, to buy Bitcoin. It was super hard back then in 2018. And I also wanted them to be able to DCA, which there was no good service. So I kind of dig around and did some research, and then I came up with this idea. I shared it in a Telegram chat and like found my co-founder, Adam, who is a tech guy. I'm not, and who wanted to help me get this out. So when we first kind of started to working at it as a hobby, in 2019, I still had no clue about fundraising because we just thought, this is a hobby, this is a project, but where is this going to go? We don't know. And then we did some startup challenges and hackathons, and we actually made it to the finals, and we got a lot of buzz, and we got a lot of need or demand for this service. So we figured we need to bring this live. And then we saw that, actually we need a lot of money. We need a team, we need a company, we need, to build the technology, we need a license for this. It's going to be super hard, and it's going to be a lot of money that we need and we don't have. We basically broke, my co-founder and I. And so that's where I needed to get into the fundraising topic, venture capital, like what are the players out there? What's an angel investor? What's an angel investor syndicate? What's a VC? What different VCs are there? What's the landscape looking like? What's the process looking like? What are valuations? How do you get to valuations? All that kind of stuff. Before I had no idea, and I did start working on this probably beginning of 2020. 2020. And so we raised our first 20K from 2 angel investors in Q1 2020, and we went live in summer 2020. So this was basically a pre-seed round. This was almost nothing. It was just really to get us off the ground and release our first MVP to both app stores, which we did with these 20K, which actually in hindsight is a great achievement. And then we went live and we did some great numbers. We had some good traction. A couple of thousands were invested, and probably more than 1,000 users we already had in the first couple of months. We grew quite fast, so that enabled us to raise a first, which was actually the pre-seed round of 300K, mainly from angel investors. And then we grew some more. We grew the team. We put together a good advisory board and board of directors and all that kind of stuff, and we implemented the referral program. So we were growing, and our brand was becoming better. The product became better, more users, more volume, more revenue. And so this enabled us to raise an actual round, a seed round with VC involvement, led by one of the greatest VCs I know here in Switzerland, called Red Alpine, in March 2021. And this was a substantial amount, for me at least, of 2.5 million or 2.7 million USD. I don't know how, this is probably not super big, or it was at least not super big back then in the US, but for Europe and especially a Swiss startup, this was actually a quite significant seed round. And then this was already priced at 11 million. So it was also very nice to see the company having a substantial valuation and really investors believing in it. And it taught me and the team obviously a lot about how to go about fundraising and what to do with the money. And we really had a bias to execution with it. We hired a great team. We got the license. We built our own backend. We developed the product super hard. We grew a lot. We hired the most amazing CMO, the ex-CMO of Bitpanda. So we really worked with the money. We didn't just take the 2.5 million and waited, kind of saved it. or invested it in Bitcoin or whatever. We really invested it in, working and execution and bringing stuff to the ground. And then we started with these safe notes. This was something that I didn't know. Actually, you told me about this, I think. So I didn't really know about like how convertible notes work and stuff. So we started to take on a couple of angel investors and angel investor syndicate like yours on with a convertible note. And then we did a crowd equity financing as well, which was very interesting. We raised around 2 million with a crowd equity, so 900 plus investors from $10 onwards already. So the smallest one was a $10 investment. The biggest one was $500,000. And we were able to really activate our own community through this, which was very, very, very nice. This was also a convertible note. So since this 11 million seed round, we haven't done a price round. That's what's super exciting, as you mentioned as well about this round that we are just about to close now, is that this is going to be a price round again with an actual valuation again, converting all of these nodes that we have amassed now in 2022.
And once that happens, guess what you will know? You will know exactly how much of that company you still own. It'll be
that's another thing.
It'll be another joy. Okay, so this is a prime example. Okay, this is a prime example. Look at what Julian did. He built this from nothing or very little. Okay, that is hustle. That is nearly completely bootstrapped. Okay. And this is what should be hitting home is for $20,000. Okay. He got this thing shipped, in the App Store, doing business. He hit those milestones all along the way, then raised another bit. He didn't go out right then. Okay. He could have easily went out and said, I'm going to raise $1.8 million. No, right. You heard it. 300,000. Another small bit, right? With goals, with milestones. Okay, executing. All right, the NGU on what you're raising is going to go up, but hitting those milestones with the growth, that's what matters, and that's what he did, which is awesome. So okay, so experience with crowdfunding. Okay, I wanted you to just talk a little bit. Now it's a little bit different over there in Europe than it is here, but I know a lot of it is very similar. So, without getting into any real numbers or anything, were the fees terrible? Was it a good experience? Did you enjoy it? It's really cool when you have kind of a captive audience like you have of a lot of people, that you have customers, they often want to invest. And it works for some. It doesn't work for everyone. I'm glad it worked for you.
Yeah, exactly. I think the key factors are you need to have a certain size. You need to be at a certain stage. Like you cannot be pre-product, pre-revenue, and not having no community. You won't be successful with a crowd equity round. You need to be on the market for at least a year, I would say. You need to have prior financing. Like you need to have all the documents sorted out. You need to have a couple of investors already on the cap table, and especially you need to have a big, active, engaging community. Like when we did it, we probably had 30-40K overall kind of users, followers, that engaging with us on a regular basis. These are, as you said, these are the people that are fans, that are supporters, and they want to have a stake in this business and be part of this journey. And they will be the ones to support you and to invest in you because they want to be part of this. So without all of this, it would not be possible. And I think that was a strength also from our side, that we already had built this brand and this product and this revenue and these great investors we already had. And then it's a long and tidy process. So it takes in the public. What the public knows about it is, within 1 hour they have raised more than $1 million, and within a 2-week period we have closed our 2 million goal, and when we stopped it. So that's the tip of the iceberg that the public audience sees. But what's actually happening behind it is that this is a preparation of 3 to 4 months, and then there's an aftermath of another 2 to 3 months to really close it and do all the paperwork to really get the money on the bank account. So that's it. It is a tidy process. So I would also not do it for a small amount. It's also very an important learning, because there's a lot of cost involved, a lot of effort, a lot of time involved. So you wouldn't do this for 100K. If you go for 500,000 or 1 million, go for it, then it's worth the time and effort. But otherwise, for a small amount, no. I was really surprised about the whole paperwork, like the bureaucracy, the documentations, the proofs of like all the legal work behind it. There's a lot of things you need to work through. So it really needs to be worth it. But for us, it was not only for the money. Obviously, the money is always great. You can get the money to work, to build the company, to grow. But also for this engagement, for this network that we got. Imagine 900, more than 900 people were then invested in Relai. So they really own part of this company, and they want the company to succeed. And studies show as well that users that are also investors, obviously they use the app more frequently, they use it more heavily, so they invest higher amounts. In our case, they are way better, they stay way longer, so the retention is way better, and also the referral. Obviously, if you are an investor, you want to tell everyone about it, use this app, this is a great app, and so forth. So what we gained is some money, but also more than 900 salespeople running around in Europe selling Relai to everyone and using Relai heavily. So this community engagement, I think, was the main factor, the main output that we took from this round. It was definitely a great experience. Purely for the money, I wouldn't do it again, but exactly for this community engagement topic, because by now we probably have doubled our community again. I could imagine that with the next financing round, we would do partly the same thing again. I think a crowd equity round is also not very good to do it on its own, but as a part of a bigger financing round. And this is also how bigger companies like Revolut, for example, did it twice. They did it for their Series B and Series C, to allocate part of your total ticket size to the crowd. I think it's definitely something I would do again.
So, the way they sell these things in the US, I don't know if the fees are comparable here. It can be very expensive to run an equity crowdfunding thing here in the US.
Yeah, it was quite expensive here as well.
So, okay, so they sell it to you as they're going to give you all this marketing support, right? They're going to put you in front of 5 million eyeballs and this and that, and they have all these numbers. Now, did you notice that while your crowdfunding campaign was rolling, or during that period, that you actually had more signups and more new users, or was that flatline the whole time?
Yeah, same thing. They try to sell you everything. Obviously, they have to justify their 5 to 10% fee. I mean, that's something you need to take into account, right? It's a really expensive thing. And then exactly how you said, like they say, 1 million, 2 million investors on our platform are going to see this. But these investors or accounts, if they even exist, are not really active, because most of the round, I would say, probably 80 or 90% of the volume of this round, the investments came from our community. We know that, right? So only a very small amount actually came from this big platform, because what's happening is they have several deals like every week and every month. So these startups come to the platform, they raise, and they bring their community. This community, these hundreds of people, they sign up just to invest in this company. They don't sign up to invest in like one company or two companies per month, like your investors do with your syndicate. They do the process of onboarding to this platform just to invest in this company, and then they move on. So yes, maybe they have 1 or 2 million investors, but they're not active in this. They're not going to invest in your company. We basically bring them value in signups, but they didn't really bring any value in terms of signups or new users or even investments to our case.
Yes. Well, wouldn't it be cool if we could have ran something like that for you over here? Lightning Ventures had an equity crowdfunding arm, and we could do things like that. Boy, wouldn't that
Nice.
be fun and save everyone a bunch of money by cutting a lot of that bull crap. Maybe one day. Okay, so use of funds here in the roadmap, or at least one thing, is the premium offering. Okay, expanding the premium offering. Can you talk about what the future of the Relay premium offering is all about?
Sure. So basically in 2023, for us, the roadmap is really going to be about expanding the customer segments, expanding the product, and making it more accessible for first users. So to make it more accessible for first users, we will come up with small for free, and this is actually the first time I say this like publicly, but we also have it on the roadmap on our website, is that for small amounts of stacking and Bitcoin purchases, it's going to be totally for free. So we want people to come to the platform and try, a first 10 or 20 bucks totally without any fees. This is super important, I think, so that we can grow our user base, and like all the retail investors can, without any friction, without any cost, buy their first sats. And then from there on, if they want to, and we know that the more education people consume about Bitcoin, the more they learn, the more they try it out, they want more. And then we assume that these will, become, from retail customers, will become affluent customers and private customers and so forth. And that's where we will also make money. But we really want to make it super easy and absolutely cheap for people to buy their first Bitcoin first sats. Also, we want to expand in terms of customer groups. So we are now live with individuals. So from small to big individuals, you can buy 10 bucks with us. You can also buy 1 million or sell 1 million with us. And we have different categories for that: retail, affluent, and private. And then what we now also have is the legal approval for B2B. So as a business, and there are 25 million small and medium-sized businesses in Europe only. A lot of them, not a lot of them, but some of them, a growing number of them, are controlled by Bitcoiners. And they're small Michael Saylors who want to put some portion of their treasury into Bitcoin, right? Maybe 10, 20%. And so they right now don't have a way to easily buy Bitcoin. It's really a massively underrated market, an underserved market, which we will enter in 2023. And so from B2C to B2B, the last thing will then be B2B2C. So we will open up, and this is what we call just the white labeling solution. We will open up our backend, our API, to offer this super easy fiat to Bitcoin on ramp to other companies, like other Bitcoin companies, Lightning companies, whatever. They struggle with onboarding no coiners to Bitcoin to then be able to use their great services. A lot of wallets, hardware wallets, software wallets, but also like Bitcoin gaming, Bitcoin podcasting platforms, all that kind of stuff. In order for normal people to use them, they need to be onboarded to Bitcoin, obviously. And that's something that they cannot provide now. We will be a solution for them. So this is basically the main thing, main themes for 2023. And then by the end of the year, we also want to upgrade to Lightning so that you can have an on-chain wallet in your Relay and buy to that, but you can also have an off-chain, a Lightning wallet in your Relay app as well, transact with it, and also buy to it and sell from it. So imagine you can buy an hourly, $1 every hour or 50 cents every hour. You can just put your credit card in, still without any registration, verification, onboarding. Within 1 minute, you can put your credit card, and then you can buy 50 cents every hour or 10 bucks every day in Bitcoin, directly get it into your Lightning wallet. So these are the main things that we are working on this year.
So that's a really great strategy. to get new users, right, is to give it away for that small amount. Okay, you get them using your product, you will get so many good things from it, reviews, feedback, everything, because your retention rate is pretty impressive, on that 30-day, the stickiness of it. And giving it away instead of trying to, I don't know about Facebook ads or other strategies, but I love that strategy and what you're doing there. And
exactly. I mean, it's something that we analyzed, is that if we give away every order up to $50, which for a normal user on the street is already quite nice. Like if you can buy up to $50 for free, this is an offer that I would try this app out, right? So if we give away orders up to $50 and analyzing our like 30K plus transactions that we have now per month, then this would affect 25% of all the orders. So 25% of all the orders are small ones. So a quarter of our users would be super happy about this and tell everyone about it and stay with the app, and really like the brand, give positive reviews, exactly what you said before. And they will bring new users in. Also, influencers will love that. Like influencers will talk about Relai way more because they say, hey, if you're not into Bitcoin yet, here's a free way how you can use it, right? So 25% is a big number, but only 7% of our revenue would be lost through that. And this would be easily offset by all the new users that we will then also get, because 80% of our Relai private users, the big guns, like the guys who transact 100K plus, 80% of them start as retail users. So a lot of them start with small amounts and then higher amounts, and then they say, oh, I just sold a house, or I just inherited money, or I just made a lot of money, or I know my rich uncle wants to buy. And then this is how we get the big customers. And then we have other services for them, which they are willing to pay for. This is actually also how Swan Bitcoin, one of our big idols in the US, is making most of their money, not with the Relai, with the retail customers, because these fees are raised to the bottom, where it's really a good market where you can still make a lot of margin is with the guy with the big money. But to recruit these people through the free retail services is really, I think, the way to go for 2023.
all right, so let's talk about competitors, both that are listed on the site and some questions that we got. Okay, so your plan for 2023 and beyond. I mean, you're up against a lot of crypto here. I see a lot of crypto. I love this. You list this as a competitor. It's like, how do I withdraw on a Revolut? You actually can't. So how are you going to win?
Yeah, so I think it's important if you look at the competitive landscape, when we talked about this before, there's a big opportunity in the next 10 to 20 years. There's billions of people and trillions of dollars wanting to flow into Bitcoin. So there's a lot of different competitors that want to serve these customers. So there's going to be a lot of offerings. We categorize them in like crypto exchanges like Bitcoin, Bitpanda, Coinbase, Binance, Crypto.com, all these that you can see here. And also fintech providers like neobanks like Revolut, Monzo, N26, even PayPal, MasterCard, and so forth. They're all coming into the space of buying Bitcoin opportunities or crypto. And then you have these Bitcoin-only brokers, where in Europe you have quite many, Relai being the leader, but then also you have like Coinify, Pocket Bitcoin, GetBitter, Bitstack, which they're doing similar things, Stack Insats, 21 Bitcoin, Coinify, and so forth. So you have a lot of them as well, and they are Bitcoin only brokers. What sets us apart is that we are the only ones where you can, without any registration verification, onboard within 1 minute from $10 already. You can buy Bitcoin 24/7 instantly directly to your own non-custodial wallet. So no onboarding, non-custodial, and 24/7. These are the three main differentiators that we have now. Plus, in 2023, we will be the absolute cheapest. We will be for free, basically, for small amounts. This is also something that differentiates us from all of these others, because they are all actually quite expensive, also for small amounts. And I think the only thing, like, as long as your product is enjoyable and exciting for people, and they really like to use it and like to tell others about it, and as long as you make things very fast, very easy, and basically for free or very cheap, then that's where the usage gravitates to. And this is exactly what we are going for.
All right, cool. So I think that about does it, man. I think we should probably wrap it there. But I don't want to have to blur out numbers and things, but if you the revenue and the volume that has happened since Julian started is absolutely remarkable. And a lot of the data is as far as how sticky the product is and retention rates. And this will probably be a nice press release when this round is done. And I think you're almost there. You're at the very end.
Yeah. So we have the closing date end of January, and we're just finalizing the whole financing documents and the last commitments. But I'm super convinced that we will close this price round very nicely at a nice valuation with very, very nice investors. I'm super proud of the whole party that we got together. Amazing Bitcoin only VCs. Some of them are very well known. Some of them are not yet well known because they just got started, but they have amazing networks behind them and a lot of money behind them. So I'm really, really excited about this round that we finally could put together.
All right, man. Well, it was really cool hanging with you and catching up. And thanks for taking some time to chat about Relai.
Thank you, man. It was amazing. Thank you, Mike, and keep up with the great work you're doing. And super exciting to having you, your fund, and your syndicate on our team.
Well, let's see. This is our second investment, and that's one thing that you do is you follow on and hit your winners hard. Okay, that's what you do. All right, and if you see the Relai growth numbers, they are winning. So we'll see you next time. Relai.app, LTNG.ventures. Thanks for tuning in.